Coaches, how we doing? This is going to be the second course of the Youth Football Coaches Certification. What we're going to talk about during this course is we're going to discuss coverages and pressures and kind of like our philosophy and how things all marry up together. So we're going to try to get through as many pressures as we can. Want to keep things fairly simple. We will touch a little bit on how we attack empty. Again, I know a lot of you guys don't see a lot of empty, see a lot of 11, 12, and 22 personnel, but I just want to make sure everybody has this tool in their toolbox in case they want to use it against non-empty teams. But again, I want to make sure that everybody has a basic understanding of how our defensive system, how the fronts and the pressures and the coverages all match up. And we'll talk about position descriptions again. We'll talk about kind of like our mentality, what we use as a metric to measure how well we did in the game, that week. So let's get on to it. All right. So why the three safety defense? All right. So discussed this really in the first course a little bit, but we'll talk about it again. So how we align the assignment, the fundamentals, the multiplicity by simplicity, right? So, being a 3-man, 4-man, 5-man, 6-man front without substituting personnel. We'll talk about more when we get to the slide with the positions, but it's something that it's going to allow you to be extremely multiple. You can be simple because you can have multiple pressures out of one front. We'll discuss that a little bit as well. But again, the only thing we really when we get out of that three safety look is if we get, like I said, a single wing team. I don't know if you guys see a single wing team, but if you do, I do have a course on that. So that's something you may want to look into. All right. So kind of go to the next part. So numbers everywhere. Three safety defense, we talk about getting our athletes on the field. All right. We want to create havoc. We want to disguise things. We talked about multiplicity by simplicity. We are a gap control defense, even though we do heavily pressure. I come from the 4-3, gap control, understanding. So if something pops on a blitz, we know who didn't fit the right way. So again, it's our job as coaches to make sure our players understand, like if we're going to call a pressure and that gap is closed, we got to keep moving on to the next open gap. We always tell our guys, 2 guys in the same gap usually ends up in the other team's man playing because they're going to score a touchdown. So try to avoid that. The mentality part, and we'll get to, the havoc rate. We talk about creating havoc, but we really want to dictate to the offense. Like we want to have the mentality that we're going to show up and we're going to be a team a style that nobody wants to play. That's kind of like our MO. Like we don't care that what we're doing or you think you know what we're doing. This is who we are and we're going to do it. We're going to do it a million miles an hour. The other thing too is how do you defend tempo? And again, I don't know if you guys see up tempo. We see guys that are on the ball fast. How are you going to do that? How are you going to call your defense? We need to practice it. You can't just show up on game and say, okay, guys, these guys are going to line up on the ball really fast. This is what we're going to try to do. You haven't practiced it. You're doing your kids a disservice, if you do that. And then you have the guys that get to the ball fast, but then they look at the sideline for all these different signals. So what kind of tempo are they? And then we get into how we defend different offenses. So, we defend 10, 11, 12, 22, 13, wing T, triple option, single wing. We have all that built into the system. And we did discuss this a little bit in the first course about motion checks. When you get into the base defense, okay, you have to teach your guys how to check with motion. So we talked about like our roll check and a little bit about our 3 buzz check, motion to the Viper, away from the Viper, and 10 personnel. We'll get into that a little bit today as well. And again, I'm from the Parcells Belichick saving tree in the sense that, when we're playing a team, we want to take away their 1 to 2 best players and make somebody else beat us. That's kind of the deal with us. Is like if they had a really good receiver, we're going to have a plan for that. If they have 2 really good receivers, we're going to have a plan for that. If they're back, quarterback, we're going to come up with some type of scheme to confuse them and to try to take them out of their game and make somebody else beat us. Talking about our coverages. So this is kind of like the baseline for our coverages. So we have blue, which is our trap cover, which I said in the first course, like, listen, if you can buy into trap coverage, I think at the youth and high school level, it's a game changer because of what it takes away and what it adds, later on in the perimeter run game. Indiana's our invert check. We talked about that to the single receiver side. We have green and green robber, which is a version of cover 3. Tampa is old school Tampa 2, where we talked about in the first course, where the corner is, mandatory no outside release, pressing number one, the outside receiver, and sink into the flat where the safety's on the hash playing the true deep half. We'll play a little mod, which mod means you'd have your man outside and deep. So if that receiver, that number two receiver, if I'm a safety and it's a mod call, if he releases outside or goes deep, I have him man to man. All right. If he goes in or out, if he goes in, we're going to make an in call and we're going to zone off. Yellow we'll discuss in this course. It's going to be our bracket coverage. Generally, we want like to send a 4 or 5 man pressure with it. Black is cover 0, which means you have no help. Gold for us is cover 1 and the with the 1 high safety. And Apache is what we talked about a little bit in the first course, is when you're 4 over 3 to trips, and then you're blue or Indiana on the single receiver side. But we'll go over some clips with that as well. I love this. I said this in the first course. I found this on social media the other day about pressure is what you feel when you don't know what you're doing. So, I use the example of like if you're going to face a tempo team and you don't practice tempo, well, you're going to feel pressure because you're going to be the one that's going to feel it because the offense is going to dictate to you, which is exactly the opposite of what we want in the defensive system that we run. So, again, if you know what you're doing, if you build a base, if you build the fundamentals, this will not be you. But if you don't do that, this definitely will be you. Okay, so position descriptions, we discussed them again. I'll go through them, briefly again because we talked about it in the first course. But defensive line-wise, obviously size is paramount, but we want speed, we want quickness, we want penetrators, we want guys to get off the ball. The nose guard is the anomaly in this defense to me. I've had both. I've had a power 4-1, and I've had a 135-pound state champion wrestler and nose guard. So I've seen both ends of the spectrum. Again, if you're having trouble finding a nose guard, go to wrestling practice. Even better if you have the wrestling coach on your staff. Okay, the jack linebacker is a traditional will linebacker, but you will ask him to stem to a 5 technique stand-up DN in the Georgia front, which we'll discuss. So like I said in the first course, you need to send that kid with the defensive line coach to get the training for the down block, the squeeze and spill, not to get reached, and then also pass rush. Mike is going to be that plugger because he's going to have run support around him. Generally, he's gapped up in our Baylor front, which is the 3-down picture you see right here. Viper is your nickel. Again, that he's got to be able to set the edge in the run game. He's got to be able to be athletic enough to run with number 2 up and in our trap and our blue coverage. He's also got to be able to play a little bit of man when we get into our cover 1 and yellow stuff, and if he's not blitzing. But travels at a passing strength unless the pressure dictates him not to, or a front call. We play field and boundary safety, field and boundary corner. Field corner's got to be a little bit more of an athletic type. It needs to be able to fit in trap and blue. Boundary corner, again, shorter space, got to be a little bit more physical. He's got to like the blitz, and he's got to like to, like contact. Same thing with the 2 safeties. Generally, a field safety is a more of a basketball type kid for us, where the boundary safety is a little bit more rugged and likes contact and likes to blitz. So that's kind of like the overview of our position descriptions. All right. I talked about this with our havoc rate. I did not come up with this. This is something that Coach Brown came up with and that we use. So this is kind of how we measure the game and how we've been successful. So what we do is, after you watch the film, you have the sacks, the tackle for losses, the interceptions, forced fumbles, and 3rd down stops. You add that number up, and then you divide them by the total number of plays you're on the field. And that's how we got the 47% you see before you. So always look at points allowed, total yards, and then we put the stats down here so you can see we had a pretty good night against Immokalee High School where we're 47%. And I get a lot of questions from coaches like, well, Coach, what do we want to set the havoc rate at? So I generally say, in the beginning of the season, we set it at about 30. But as the season goes on, when we meet, we talk about, after we watch the film together, like, what do we think we can achieve? And if we get over 50%, I usually, give them pull pork off the smoker. My wife will make something. So, but it's a good intangible to dangle in front of the kids because it gets them playing for each other because they want to do their jobs. They want to get the TFLs. They want to help their teammates get sacks. The D-line and linebackers know, on pressures, the INTs will come. And then obviously preaching running to the football, the force of fumble, and obviously getting off the field on 3rd down is extremely significant when you're on the defensive side of the ball. Okay. This I thought was pretty cool. This is Jordan O'Dafford. He's the defensive coordinator at South Carolina State University. He just won the HBCU national championship, and we're in a bunch of these Facebook groups together, and Coach has always been great over the years. But the fact that you see, the number one team in the HBCU that's modeling off your havoc rate and replying to yourself on social media, I think that's awesome. So it just shows you how awesome this coaching community is, that no matter what level you're at, guys are always trying to find a niche for their team. And, Coach had a heck of a night, almost 61% havoc rate. That's really, really awesome. All right. So why did you want to, look at this course? Because we want to talk about pressure. We want to talk about coverage. All right. So this is our Panther pressure. Now, this could be Panther or Bama. And let me explain what that means. All right. So this is a pressure with the Viper. So it's a 5-man pressure. So Panther is going to dictate that the Viper is going to blitz from the passing strength. So right now, we have a left-handed quarterback, the Viper's to the right. All right, so what we're going to do is, and I have a clip for you guys to show you, so we'll watch that over a couple times. But basically what he's going to do is the end of the Viper side is going to widen out, because what we want to do is we want to put this tackle in a bind. Either he has to step down at the Viper and the end runs free, or he's going to step out and the Viper is going to come free. So again, and away from that side, we have a twist. Okay, we have the jack in the end, and as we get into the season, I kind of let these guys decide who's going to go first and who's going to go second. Generally, we like the jack to go first and gum that up and then get the end around. And the thing about Panther or Bama is we're trapped, we're blue coverage no matter what. So like when you see these terms like cut, remember we talked about that in the last course. Okay, cut means that we have number 2 or number 3 vertical. And so in this picture, the Mike is cut to number 2, the Rover is cut to number 2. But what we'll tell the Rover in this case is, remember that this A gap is open. So if we get a flash of the inside zone, he's going to hang for a second before getting over to number 2. And again, if they want to throw fake handoff and throw a bubble, he's going to throw it right into a trap corner with the safety getting over top. So I like it because it's one coverage for 2 pressures. And again, like I said yesterday in the first course, it is spring installation is a little wordy. So this in the spring would be Georgia Panther blue or Georgia Bama blue. But as we get into the season, I can just call Panther. The kids know we're in the 4-down stuff, or Bama, and they know the coverage. So that's the beauty of it. All right, so let's get to a clip here. Pause this. Okay, so here we have, this is where we have end, Viper, nose, end, and jack. So you're going to see the twist game down here. All right, you're going to see the end get wide, okay? And then you're going to see if this end would have been tighter, you probably would have got a sack instead of a PBU. But you're going to see kind of how, if you watch both corners, how you want trap coverage from the press look. And it's a really good job. Our Rover is going to come over here late to cut the 2, and our Mike's sitting right here. Okay, really good job with the trap. Awesome. Okay, let's go back one more time from the beginning. So again, trapping, okay, these 2 guys are cut to number 2. Our twist game down here. All right, now we're 3 for 2. All right, so the nose is going to slant. We have a wide end, and we have our Viper coming. You see how you get a good matchup there. Okay, and again, it's Panther. Go back to the beginning. It's Panther because we have a right-handed quarterback, and the Vipers, it's Viper left. Now, if it was Bama, 11, the jack would be over here, and the Viper would be on this side because it's Bama. Okay, all right. But now this is a Panther, so that's why it's a different. That's why it looks like this. We'll just go ahead and watch it one more time. Great job by the corner here, sinking right, and they got to throw over top of them. Really, really good job. Okay, all right. Now next pressure we'll go to present. Okay, so this is out of the Florida front that we talked about yesterday. So this is our. I like this against 10 personnel because everybody's covered up. And, we get, and again, Cincy will only run from the boundary. So it's a boundary corner pressure. All right, so you can see we have everybody covered up here. Mike and Jack are on the guards, nose, 2 ends. Viper always goes to the field when he hears Cincy. All right, we're playing Tampa, so old school Tampa 2. So jamming number 1, half player. Okay, he's the hook to curl player. Now, if we got motion to 3x1 to trips, this jack on a pass pass read, he'd have to abandon the blitz, and then because he'd have to run with number 3 down the middle of the field because the corner's coming from the boundary, and we're trapping the boundary with the boundary safety and the rover. All right, so this is our Cincy. Now again, we can run blue, we can trap this, but this for this teaching point, we're just playing Tampa 2. Okay, so let me pause this here. So again, here's our Viper, field corner, field safety. There's the rover. There's our boundary corner. You can see the Mike and the Jack standing up with the end. So everybody's covered up. Okay, everybody's covered up. You see a little bit of pressure here interior. Okay, good timing about the corner. The nose does a really good job. Okay, and we get the pick. All right, the one thing I would like our corner to do, and this is something where if you guys are, looking at, defensive back drills, is he does a fairly good job with his hands here. Like, so right here, he should just keep sinking because this number 1, and he sees number 2 coming out. So instead of man turning, and what I mean by man turn is we lose our eyes on the quarterback. He should just keep sinking here. He probably would have a good shot of picking it off and running it back. But he man turns here, you see that? And because of the pressure, we get it, but he made it a little bit more difficult than he needed it to be. Okay. Next pressure we talk about is Army. So now Army is what we call a creeper pressure. So that means the linebacker is going to creep up or be at about 3 yards and come flat-footed. So it's a good 4-man pressure. I like it against 10, 11, 12 personnel, and you can play coverage behind it. So the only rule breaker here for us out of the Baylor look is we're now going to send the nose away from the back. So the linebacker to the back is going to be the blitzer. And why we call it Army is because it's a linebacker in the A gap. And we can play we can play cover 3 green, cover 1 gold. We can play split field, meaning we could play Tampa 2 over here and quarters over here. So it just depending on what your guys want to do. Okay. So here's our Baylor, our 3 down. So here, all right, we're playing Tampa 2 here. There's our Viper corner. Rover's over number 3. We're playing quarters on this side, basically zeroed out, playing man. Okay, so you're going to see the nose slant, and you're going to see our Jack backer here be the creeper, okay? Okay, and our Jack does a really good job of timing that up. We'll go back to the beginning. Okay, they vacate, they go to empty, which is fine, okay, because, again, he's running lateral, right? So even if they throw to the flat, we got 4 for 3, okay, because there's a safety back here. You see the rover, the Viper in the corner, there's a safety back here. But see how he times it up, and it opens up really, really good for him because they have to double the nose in the end. All right, we're going to end up getting a big TFL and a sack, and that obviously it contributes to the havoc rate. Okay, I said I was going to touch on empty, so there are 2 ways you can handle empty. And again, for the youth level, this is a really good one. I do have a simulated pressure, meaning it's the same look as this, but then we drop out of it, so we only rush 3 and drop 8. But let's just concentrate on this pressure right here. So again, this is something where we're just saying, hey, you have 5 guys to block 6. We're going to play man. Good luck. Okay. So the Viper is always locked on number 3. All right, so no matter what you call Zorro, or if we run the Miami pressure, which is where we drop 8, the Viper is always on 3 because we want it to look the same. Like we talked about in the beginning, it's multiplicity by simplicity, right? Okay, so this is, we're sending 6, you have 5, that ball's coming out really, really fast. Okay, so here we go. We got empty. So Viper's on 3, safety's on 2, corner's on 1, okay? Safety's on 2, corners on 1. All right. So we have Mike, Jack, Rover. Both ends are on the same side with the nose. Okay. So they have 5 offensive linemen and 6 guys are coming. So somebody's coming free. If they all step down, the edge will come free. If they step out, the interior will come free. It's all how they want to protect it. Look how fast the ball comes out. And now we run. It's a great job. Go ahead and watch that again. Right now, quarterback ball out. Great job, great open field tackle. And one more time. Just understand, right? And now when you throw in that simulator, okay, his internal clock is already sped up because he's seeing the same look. He's thinking, all right, six guys are coming. Okay, I got to get the ball out really, really quick. Okay. Awesome. Now, this is out of our UMass front. So our UMass front is this mug look. So it's a 6-man mug look. So we have about 6 pressures out of this look. So I'm going to show you Clemson and jump, and we can run green, which is our cover 3, or gold, which is our cover 1. So Clemson is a double A gap pressure. I'll start off in the beginning of the season telling both these guys, listen, you got to go interior. Both of you guys, there's no twist. As the season goes on, I let them twist, but I tell them, if you guys don't communicate well and you screw up, I'm taking back over. But it gives them a little onus and a little ownership in the pressure, and the kids seem to like that. So this is Clemson. And then jump just means that the nose and the end are A-gap players now, and the rover and the mic are going to be B-gap players. That's the clip you're going to see. And again, green is cover 3, gold is cover 1. Now, again, in green, in both pictures, we're mod. So that means that if this guy goes under, all right, we're making an in and in call. So we get like a 2 drags. So we're not going to chase drags, okay? All right, and we have him playing. He's not going to bail like a traditional free safety would. He's going to hang for a little bit. Now, obviously, if it's man, we're going to follow. But if it's cover 3, we're going to play these guys mod, okay? Meaning like if they release outside, we got them, okay? All right, so now this is jump, and this is gold. Okay, so you're going to see the defensive linemen are going to go pinch the A gaps. You're going to see the rover and the mic jump around. That's why we call it jump into the B gaps. These 2 guys know that they're edge contained and blitz peel. What blitz peel means is like if this backward is swing, this guy knows he needs to take a man to man. Okay. So that's definitely a rule you want to discuss to make sure your guys know that, hey, if this running back swings in this, whether it's Clemson, jump, bowl, those are like the 3 out of this look that are man pressures or cover 3 pressures. We're always blitz peel, and then we have some other simulators out of this as well. All right, but again, you're going to see the 2 defensive tackles pinch, the 2 inside A-gap players jump around in the B gaps, and really confuses the O-line up front. And we get a nice TFL there. Okay, watch it one more time. See how they're moving, right? We got the defensive lineman's inside. Here comes the linebacker around. Okay, really confused us. Stop here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 4 coming free right now. Great job by our guys. But like I said, it's imperative that you tell those edge guys about the blitz peel rule. And also, too, make sure they stay low. And again, you're going to run 6 different pressures out of that look. So that means that offensive coach has to get ready for 6 different pressures, and not all of them are this. Some of them are extremely different. Okay. We talk about, being a 3 safety defense. So this is one of the few times that we're actually 3 high across. This is, I'd say, 3rd and 8 plus. We'll run this a bunch of different ways. We call it Hutch because after Aiden Hutchinson, and then Texas just means that we're in our 3 high look. Now, we will give multiple looks. You're going to see in the film clip our linebacker. We want to make it, what we want to try to do is we want to try to get a one-on-one matchup for one of our defensive linemen. So we want our linebackers up to show like they're coming off the edge. Our Viper, who you're going to see in this next clip, doesn't do a really good job, but our Jack backer does, and we actually by the nose sometime. He ends up getting a hit on the quarterback for the interception. But I would say, it's cover 2 principles, so you're playing that Tampa 2. You don't have to press if you don't want to. The corners are flat defenders. The outside linebackers are hook to curl. He's a half defender. He's a half defender. He's the pole, which is essentially the middle third. So you'll see how they work well together. Okay, let's go back to the beginning here. Corner, Viper, backer. Okay, so again, we're 3 down here, and then here is safety, middle safety, boundary safety. So we're 3 high across. But why we want this look, and I wish the Viper would have walked up, We want to get a one-on-one matchup here for these guys. So we want these guys to slide one way there. So that's why right now we're simulating a 4-man pressure where we should be simulating a 5-man pressure. All right, but the nose does a really good job of winning his one-on-one and getting a hit on the quarterback. We'll look at the end zone view too. Good pressure. Doesn't even see the middle safety on the post. Okay, beautiful thing. Interception. Get the ball for our offense in really deep plus territory. Okay, let's go to the end zone shot here. Give you guys a shot at the end zone. Go back to the beginning here. All right, you can see 55, get a really good shot on the QB there. All right, but that is all predicated on because 7 had walked up, our linebacker had walked up. Now, see what we're doing? See, they're sliding this way. So now we get the one-on-one. We actually get 2 one-on-ones, but our nose guard actually ends up winning it. And there's our middle safety right there. That's going to get the interception on the hurried hit. So really good job by our guys. Okay, Apache we discussed yesterday in our first course. So this in this front is basically our Apache check is we're going 4/3 and either trapping or inverting based on his width. And like I said, the rule of thumb for us is that the corner has to be able to fit the run. If he feels like he's too far out, he'll make an Indiana call, all right, to the single receiver side. But we're playing our Tampa 2 or trap principles, depending on what we scheme that week. And then the rover is going to have number 3 man-to-man. And then the box is a 5-man box. But it looks light, but we're going to get an insert here for run force anytime. And then obviously the rover can help on the run as well. And then same rules. We make a lucky call here. All right, get the nose going. We get 2 B-gap players. We have either Sky or Cloud support out here, depending on the Blue or Indiana call. So Cloud is corner, Sky is safety, right? Okay, so let's take a look. All right, so 4/3. And then if you see this boundary safety come down, it's Indiana. If you see the boundary corner come down, it's blue, it's trap. Oh, okay, Indiana to the outside. They try to throw bubble. Maybe rally to the ball. Awesome. All right, next clip here. Okay, so it's invert Indiana there. We'll go back and watch that one more time. But we're Apache up top, right? We're 4/3. You see the safety coming down, Indiana, and the corner's playing loose man. But what it does here, you see, it puts this tackle in a bind because he's taught to kick the outside defender, which is the corner, and nobody's taking the inverted safety. So we're 4/3 and 2/1. So we talked about having numbers. This is what it means to have numbers. And it's a great open field tackle by our guy there. Okay, so here we go again. Apache, we're 4/3. Okay, either Indiana or blue. Right, Indiana. And we fit the run. Get to this. I love this trap. Look at that. Quarterback's looking to throw that hitch into the boundary. Now nobody's open because these guys thought the hitch was coming, and now this guy's running for his life. Awesome job by our guys. Let's watch that one more time. Great job by the boundary corner. We're Apache over here. Wants to throw that boundary hitch, not there. Safety stays with him. Corner chases, which is fine. And we get a quarterback sack and a TFL. All right. We talked about yellow coverage. Okay, so yellow coverage for us is bracket. Now you see up there on the screen, you see ace, deuce, and tray. So this is how we're going to determine who we're bracketing. So ace means we're going to bracket the far outside receiver. Deuce would mean we're bracketing the slot receiver number 2. And if it was trips, that would be tray. Now we can tray the back as well. But in this case, just so you guys know what ace, deuce, and tray mean, again, we will tell the kids the week of practice, like, hey, number 11, wherever he's at, that's what we're gonna bracket. So he could be in the ace, the deuce, or the trade position. But we'll tell the kids, hey, 11 we're bracketing, or if they have two guys, hey, 11 and 81 we're gonna bracket, and then they just make those ace, deuce, and trade calls based off of where those guys are aligned. So this is our gash stunt. Okay, so basically here's the back. We're going to send the line to the back. The linebacker opposite the back is going to be your fourth rusher. The linebacker that doesn't blitz is going to have the back man-to-man. Now, if the back blocks, he can add on to the pressure, okay? And then how we play the bracket coverage, really, really simple. So let's say we go gash yellow. Let's say number 11's here. We go ace left because he's on the left side. So that means this safety and this corner are bracketing number one. So all we tell our guys is to play your leverage, okay? So we're going to outside press number one, and anything, no outside release, anything outside and vertical, we're going to play our leverage. The safety's going to come over. We're going to vice him. If number one goes directly under, the safety will drive that. The corner will zone off. That makes sense? Okay, so that's the same technique we do for deuce and for tray. Okay, so here's gash. Okay, we're in a 55 call, so you can see both ends are in fives. Okay, all right. Now you're gonna see the Mike. He's gonna start moving, coming this way, and we're deucing the number two receiver over here. We're in close to the red zone, so that's why we called this play. Really good job by the field safety there. Now, one thing I will say, if he would have stayed at the sideline, you never want to cut back. Probably would have scored. Okay, let's look one more time at that. So now, because it's a 55 call, he'll take the outside. All right, and you'll see the Mike. He's going to say, "Well, I can't go outside. I got a guy outside already, so I'm gonna replace him inside." And that's the kind of change up with the 55 call. Remember, 55 means both ends are in five techniques outside shade of the tackle. Really good job. See, right now, you got 18 blocking. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. If you want to go here, but work your way back out, look at the wall you got. But he decides to, cut it all the way and hit the B button and ends up getting tackled as opposed to scoring. So just a little, fundamental things we talk about all the time with our guys. Like, hey, never go back inside. Make sure the receiver's blocked and the quarterback can hit the sideline. Okay, really love this pressure. Samurai. It's out of the Baylor look. I love it against this set. I love it against the Y off because you're going to get split zone. You're going to get boot. You're going to get some kind of insert, but you have everything accounted for. So here are the rules with Samurai. Is we're going to take the ends are going to be head up. They're going to pinch the inside B gaps. The safety, the boundary safety is going to come up. Now we have ours stand there. He'll take this A gap. The nose is going to loop around the side of the boundary safety. The Mike is A gap opposite. He's got the back man-to-man. The Jack is the other edge. So we got double edge. The Viper has the wing. Field safety has the slot. Corners have one. The Rover plays what we call a delayed third, which basically means he's going to shuffle 3 steps before he gets to the middle. Because if it's a run, why do you want to keep playing the deep third? Get yourself in the mix in the run game. All right. So one thing that got us a little messed up in the beginning of the season was if this wing motions. If the wing motions, the only thing we're going to do is have the Viper travel. We're keeping everything else on. Okay. But again, we talked about it a little bit in the first course was that make sure this Viper's not like standing next to the backer so he gets caught. All right. Make sure he's got depth. So if we do get boot or split zone, he's able to get across this way. So I got 2 clips of this. So here's our safety. There's our Jack. Viper's got the wing. Okay. Corner, safety, corner, Rover, Mike. You're going to see the nose looping towards us this way. Really good pressure. Really, really good pressure. I'm going to watch that one more time. Great job by the ends, pinching hard. Then nose loop around, right? Guards kind of doesn't know what's going on. Okay, we get an 8-yard loss. Okay, quarterback sack. Now here's what it looks like when you do it against boot. So safety, Viper. Now this guy's going to go in motion. I'd rather have him go behind the Mike and the Jack. So the Jack is going to kind of delay it, but both the ends do a great job. The nose loops, they try to run sprint out this way, but not showing actually helped our Jack get the sack here. Show that one more time. That was really good stuff. Okay, big district game. See how he delays it. Quarterback, boom, and we got pursuit coming from inside out. Jack did a great job on that blitz. Okay. All right, now I talked about this in our first course. I showed you guys some clips. So Moxie is the first simulator I would put in. It's you're going to have it a couple days, but it's a 6-man simulator where you generally want to run it against 10 personnel on pass downs. So what we do is, and you guys will see an end zone and a wide clip, is we want to show the overload to the side of the back. So we're going to kick the line away from the back. So we have a wide end. Our nose is an A-gap slanter. This end is going to work through the center to contain. The Mike is the looper, okay? The rover on pass is a low hole player. If we get motion to trips, he's going to get out. That's one of the wide clips you're going to see, so it's a good visual for you guys. And why I love this is because it's always Tampa 2 to the side of the Jack. It's always trap to the side of the Viper. And then the rover's got 3 control if we get motion. So we're showing 6, but we're sending 4 on pass. So it's a great simulator. So here you're going to see the Mike's going to loop. So now these guys have a choice. They can either step out or block down. So if they step down, the end's going to come free. If they step out, the Mike's going to come free. You see the end coming free. He throws right into a trap corner. All right. I have the wide clip here so you guys can see the rover actually get out. Okay. Let me back this up a little bit. So here's the rover. They line up in trips. So we tell the rover, hey, speed at 3, you got to get out. Okay. So Jack, boundary corner, boundary safety, Mike, end, nose, end. All right. And then we have our Viper in our corner, our safety that'll come in the picture on the throw. Okay, right here. Wish you would have caught it, but they try to run the flood, streak out flat, and the corner does a really, really good job of sinking it. Like the flat's open, and that's okay. I'd rather give up the flat than a 10-yard out, but he does a good job sticking underneath the out route and almost gets himself a pick. All right, and then one more time. Show you guys this one more time, but again, okay, coaching point here is he should be more on the hash, okay? He needs to understand he's in the boundary, so we don't have to drop that far. Not like if he was to the field, he'd have to get width. I mean, he's into the boundary, right? Okay. The end does a good job of fighting, trying to get to contain as well. But this is really well run by our guys on a pretty complicated blitz for the second week of the season. See, the end does a good job getting out, and then we got that trap corner. Okay. So I hope that was kind of like a guide into like basic pressure installation, how you see everything is matched up with our coverages. I got to plug a few guys here. Coach Bud is all the slides that you see in all my presentations. Coach Bud does them. He's a high school coach out in California. As you can see, does phenomenal work. You guys mentioned me. He'll give you 10% off if you need a special teams, offense, defense, whatever. Talk to him. He'll get your logo like you saw on this presentation. He is the man. I can't say enough about Coach Bud. He is a lifesaver. He does things a lot better than me when it comes to this, so that's why I asked him to do it for me. Quick cut. The presentation that I'm using for this, easy transition, probably the easiest presentation tool that I've ever used. Todd and these guys do such a really, really good job. So if you mention my name and visit Quick Cut, you'll get qualify for an extra 50 hours free. And again, honestly, if you're a huddle guy and you become a Quick Cut guy, when you trade with a huddle guy, literally it's downloading a little file and it takes two to 3 minutes. But definitely reach out to these guys if you want to give it a go. I have my own Quick Cut drive that I use for my presentations, and the playbook, the recruiting tools. It's awesome. All right. One of the things I'm really proud of is we started this system in 2020 with the Japanese national team and built it up in the state of Florida. And as of right now, in January of 2026, we have over 15 high schools across the United States that use the entire system. There's a bunch of coaches that take bits and pieces of it, and again, it's not for everybody, but I think that success speaks. More than anything, whether it's you're reaching your goals of a championship or first time doing certain things, have a great whatever. I just think we do a really good job with the system, and you have a system, right? It's just not a conglomerate of plays. Like you believe in the system and what you do to be successful and create havoc. So here's all my info. That's my website, the fbcoachgibbs.com. I do have a 300-page workbook manual coming out at the end of this month, as long as a youth football manual, pressure manual, a bunch of different manuals. So they'll be out. That's my Twitter handle for myself and the defense. And if you guys have any questions, please reach out. Shoot me an email, shoot me a DM on Twitter. Check the website out. There's a bunch of free downloads in there for spring install. The Japanese game 2020 is up there if you want me to come to do an install. Everything's on there for you. So please check the website out. And thank you guys, for checking out course number 2.